Equal rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
When do we want it?
In this town, get up, get down. To the gay rights rally in this town, get up, get down. To the gay rights rally.
Now, the Obama administration and the Democrats in Washington were given electoral and financial support from many in the LGBT community, and yet they've done almost nothing of serious importance, substantial, to tackle the core national and legislative issues facing that community. Now, since being elected, Obama has, in fact, refused to support gay marriage, same-sex marriage. In fact, his administration has been on the record saying that they're in favor of the Defense of Marriage Act, both verbally and in legal statements. The Employee Non-Discrimination Act, which would protect people in their workplaces from being discriminated against based on sexual orientation or gender identity, has not been passed. Only minor changes have been made to the way that they enforce Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Not to mention, nothing's been done to tackle a myriad of other issues like the huge rate of homelessness among lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer youth. Now, I'm an ally, and that means two things. Number one, I'm a straight male. And number two, I'm really pissed off that the Obama administration is not willing to support civil rights for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer people. Is anybody else out there pissed off?
The one thing that I would like to say is you cannot hire someone to manage your civil rights. It just doesn't work. The problem is once someone's livelihood becomes dependent on your getting your civil rights, that's going to be an awfully slow process because as soon as your civil rights are achieved, that person's out of a job. And that is one of the reasons why Marriage Equality Minnesota is we do not accept donations, we have no paid staff, it is all volunteer. And the faster we can achieve equality, marriage equality in the state of Minnesota, the happier we will be so we can stop doing this shit.
Many people across the country, not just here, are coming to the realization that the idea of nicely asking the Democrats for their help doesn't work and isn't going to work. Now instead, it's important and necessary to build a real movement, a strong movement, to challenge the Democratic Party that's willing to go out into the streets and link up with other progressive struggles for justice, because the LGBT community is not the only community under attack today in America. On the heels of the recent SB 1070 bill in Arizona, the racist anti-immigrant bill, we saw another bill that bans ethnic studies in public schools in Arizona.
Now, there are a couple of approaches to gaining our civil rights, in the state, and one seems to be to take an incremental approach, which is to, try to pass one or two laws a year for, however long that might take. And this is something interesting, I find. This is what Martin Luther King had to say about this incremental approach to gaining your civil rights. And he said, then there is another cry. They say, why don't you do it in a gradual manner? Well, gradualism is little more than escapism and do-nothingism, which ends up in standstillism. And that's what we're seeing today at the state legislature. If we want full civil rights, that's what we have to fight for. We have to fight for it all the time and continue fighting until we get our full civil rights.
Now, building a powerful movement that links up not just these struggles, but other struggles is just one step. We need to also be willing to challenge the Democrats and others in Washington in the electoral arena by running real activist candidates, real grassroots candidates in this country to fight for what we really believe in. These candidates have to support full federal equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people. But they also need to expand to broader issues. They need to put forward More demands, massive jobs programs, real universal single-payer health care. They need to put forward the idea of ending foreclosures and evictions, talking about ending the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and instead using that money to fully fund public education and youth programs in the community. But ultimately, no, cheer. Go ahead and cheer.
All right, so we actually have a surprise speaker right now, Gail Dorfman. She actually works upstairs and heard us and came down and wanted to say how much she supports us, so I'm going to hand this off to her. She's part of the Hennepin County Board of Commissions.
Okay, well, I'm one county commissioner. You don't have to call. You can just talk to me today. And I assure you that you have my support. I have 5 wonderful children. And my son Sam came out when he was 13. He's 21 now. And I want Sam to have the same rights that my other 4 kids have, including the right to marry. And so I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for everything you are doing to keep this issue alive. And just know that there are a lot of us that are out here fighting with you and supporting what you're doing. So thank you all so much for what you're doing and what you believe in. And someday we'll end up here in Minnesota, I think, having a right to marry. I mean, if we've got it in Iowa, we ought to have it here too.
Thank you so much, Gail.